A veteran won last night's Nashville Predators game in a dramatic shootout, but there are some unsung heroes who deserve their flowers, and we're going to give those out on today's Locked On Predators podcast.
You're Locked On Predators, your daily podcast on the Nashville Predators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Friday, everybody. Happy game win recap day. Welcome to the Locked On Predators podcast. We thank you so much for making us your first listen of the day. We are a part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Want to kick off this joyous Friday episode shouting out our Locked On Predators insiders and our everydayers who tune in to talk Nashville Predators hockey with us. You have such fortitude, my friends, and today you're rewarded with a joyful game win recap. I am Ann Kimmel. I'm a writer and co-host with Penalty Box Radio, and my friends, I have a partner in crime.
You do. I'm Emma Lingen, and I'm the Predator site editor and reporter for the Hockey News.
Nashville Predators set out on their final road trip of the season, and Emma, somehow they came up with a big shootout win over the Utah Hockey Club. We are going to break down this game, which didn't look like the final score a lot of the time, but we're going to tell you our one word to describe what we saw. And we're going to praise some unsung heroes who may not show up on the score sheet, but who definitely showed up on the ice. Plus, friends, it is Friday. So we're going to play a fun little game of takes from a hat as well. Before we dive into all of that, want to let you know today's episode is brought to you by our friends at FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $250 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. All right, Emma, we just recapped a dramatic overtime win earlier in the week. And I thought, oh, look, that's our one nice thing, because this has been a season of Ann and Emma don't get nice things. But they headed out on the road to Utah, and we talked about the game on yesterday's show. Look, Utah has a lot of weapons. They do a lot of things very, very well. We said goaltending was going to be a big part of the story. We undersold goaltending. We're going to talk about that coming up. But first, Emma, let's talk about our one word to describe the game last night. If you had to sum up that game in, more than one word, it's our show, it's our rules. How would you describe Nashville's 4-3 shootout win over the Utah Hockey Club?
Well, they actually made it easy for me to do it in just one word today, because that one word is goaltending.
Oh my gosh.
Lord. Good
Unreal.
Lord. We were talking about it before the show. First of all, Karel Vejmelka, I feel bad that he got the loss after that.
Unreal.
It's an overtime loss, but still, it's like he was unreal the entire game. And then Juuse Saros, also 39 saves, absolutely nothing to sneeze at, but he came up huge. I mean, he was locked in. He bailed them out times, like in the first period, but especially down the stretch in overtime, and then of course in the shootout where he looked like he was just batting away flies.
Oh, he could not be bothered with your shots in the shootout, people.
No.
It was amazing.
He really needed a win. I mean, Vejmelka, like I said, deserved one, but Saros needed one. He deserved it for that performance.
Yeah. It's so funny what you're talking about goes right along with my one word, which is actually two words. So my daughter-in-law, one of my favorite people, separate her from my son and my grandson. She's just this great person, and she loves Harry Potter. So I, of course, got my grandson. He has all the houses of Harry Potter outfits because we don't know yet what he's going to be. It's going to be very exciting which Harry Potter house he is. But I have started rereading the Harry Potter series because I read it several years ago. So I'm on book 7. I'm in the Deathly Hallows right now. Dumbledore died at the end of the last... Ooh, I don't know if I should have said that out loud. Spoiler alert. Never mind.
At this point, that series is so old that if you don't know by now, then it's kind of on you.
That was my bad. Read the books anyway, but it'll save you, because I had to read a couple pages and put it down because I get too wrapped up in it. But anyway, in Harry Potter, there is something called polyjuice potion. And that is my one word for this game. When you take polyjuice potion, it turns you into whoever's hair you put in the potion, and you look like somebody else. That is what I felt like happened to the Nashville Predators. They look like they took polyjuice potion and were playing similar to a team that hasn't been the third worst in the league. Juuse Saros, and I think Karl Vejmelka got a little sniff of it too. They looked like they were competing for the Vezina in this game. I mean, nobody looked like I thought they were going to look for the Nashville Predators. Juuse Saros hellebucked as he has never hellebucked before. We've talked about on the show, if you've got a game with Saros and Hellebuck, you have to watch it. Well, now if you see a game where it's going to be Saros versus Vejmelka, watch it. That was goaltending gold. Just incredible. And Saros, like you mentioned in the first period, under a lot of pressure. But, Nashville had some really good chances as well. And Vejmelka he was not having that either. We, of course, always ask our insiders for their one word. Taylor's one-ish word is edge of my seat, no space. I like that. That was an amazing game. The penalty kill came up clutch once again towards the end of overtime, and I think that fired the boys up. We're going to talk about those penalty killers coming up. Jennifer's one word, friend, joy. It took all season, but maybe they finally found some joy. They might not be perfect, but they look like they were having fun playing hockey. It was so funny when I read that one word from Jennifer. You remember that Andrew Brunette has talked about, like, we just want something to build on. Like, we want to find the joy in the game. And I remember sitting there as he has said that towards the end of the season, thinking, like, that ain't going to do nothing. That, like, joy in the game. But as I watch the last game, as I watched Nashville battle in this game, for the first time, I thought, you're not selling me something. I can see how winning a couple of games like this is sort of that emotional palate cleanse. It changes nothing. Hear us when we say, Emma and I know, it changes nothing. But it is a really good emotional palate cleanse, I think, for this team, Emma.
Yeah, and I think I believe Chris Mason said it on the broadcast last night, but he said something about, like, the Predators, obviously out of the playoffs, they're not for anything in that regard, but he said they're trying to prove something here. And I thought that was, that's true. They are. They're trying. We've been saying it all year that this team is too good to be this bad. And that's what they're trying to prove right now. Is like, we are not what our record says we are. Now, I mean, at the end of the day, results driven business, blah, blah, blah. That is not at all like you said, it changes nothing.
Mm-hmm.
This does not erase any of the horrors that we've already seen from this team this season. But it does, they are trying to prove something. They're trying to prove that they are better than this. And even though it doesn't change a damn thing this year, it at least can leave you with a little bit of hope for next year.
Yeah, and I really truly did, sitting there listening to that spiel. I thought, this is what you say as a head coach, but I feel like you could see as the team competed, as the game went on, as they, got into the game, as they got the lead, even when it was tied up, as they battled in overtime. I'm like, now I see what he's talking about. Like, there is some sort of a level of pride of, wait a minute, it's still there, that this team can carry over in the offseason. Now, they got plenty of other work they need to do in the offseason, and we all know that. But I do think if they can find their joy, it will matter. Dustin's one word is his favorite phrase from the legendary Willie Donick. Oh, my laundry, because, man, that game was as intense as drinking a pint of bleach. That game was. I had that game on, and then I had the Penn State game on where they were playing BU in the semifinals of the Frozen Four. Penn State lost. I'm not ready to talk about it. Played a great game. Penn State played a great game. It was such a great game. But yeah, like, if I had an Oura ring, it would be off the charts. stress level. It was a lot. Coming up, there were some unsung heroes in this game. We've talked about Juuse Saros. Philip Forsberg scored that shootout goal that won the game, but there are some unsung heroes that we want to give some credit to, including a young player who you will not see on the score sheet. We're going to talk about that coming up. Today's episode's brought to you by FanDuel. The NBA playoffs, they're almost here, friends, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on that action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you're going to get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it is something like picking your favorite team or diving into those player props. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same game parlay for a chance to win big. Don't miss out, friends. Head on over to fanduel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. All right, Emma, it's Friday. We're recapping a win. Things seem all right. Dumbledore dies, but it's a little bit of sadness everywhere. I want to shout out somebody that we mentioned earlier, and that was the penalty killers in overtime. Nashville took this game, got this game to overtime, and then, bless his heart, Fedor Svechkov, bless. We love him. We're not even going to chastise him verbally. We're just going to give him a little look of disappointment, and that will be enough.
We're going to love him through it.
We are going to love him through it. Oh my gosh. He ended up in the penalty box. I don't even remember what the call was for, quite honestly.
I think it was hooking.
That's what I was going to guess.
Hook on Sergachev.
No, get over it, Sergachev. But anyway, it was a hook. It was. He's not wrong. And so Nashville has to go 4-on-3 in overtime. And again, and we talked about this previewing this game, Utah may not have a record that shows it, but they have some offensive weapons that work so well together. And I mean, even in this game, and my husband at one point was like, please stop talking. I'm like, watch their passing. Watch their passing. It's so amazing. And he's like, stop talking to me. And I was like, okay, this is how we go out. Like, you get a point. This is how we go out. Nashville's penalty killers. I don't even know if I can name who all was out there. Nashville's penalty kill. I don't know how they did it. They were in the D zone defending the whole time. Basically the whole time. They got one change kind of 2/3 of the way through this penalty kill. They kept that game tied in overtime. And friends, we talk about, Philip Forsberg had this amazing shootout goal and Juuse Saros was incredible. True. But let us give a shout out to the guys who do the hard job. And that is penalty killing, especially against a team who is putting out their best offensive weapons, trying to win the game. It was, chef's kiss on effort, on all out, on execution. And I think, we'd mentioned earlier, it turned the tide for Nashville. Like Nashville was like, oh, hell no, we are not going to lose this now.
Yeah. As far as who was out there, I'd say there was the primary players here were Brady Shea and, yes, I will give him his flowers for this, Justin Barron. They were out there killing the penalty. Ryan O'Reilly was out there for most of it as well. Yep. Unreal. And that's the kind of thing, I especially love to see from Brady Shea, because it's like, I know that this is the kind of play that he's capable of. He's gotten a bad rap this year because he struggled. He has been playing some of his best hockey of the year lately. And I mean, of course, too little, too late. A lot of people are saying, but again, you got this guy for 7 years. It's, it's good to see. But yeah, I think it's that because we, how many times have we seen this and talked about it? Like, as soon as the other team scores a goal, either to tie it or to go ahead, you're like, well, that's it. You just don't see the fight in this Predators team. But you saw the fight from this team, I thought, especially in overtime. The defensive effort was there on that penalty kill. That's something that we have
Incredible.
not seen.
Mhm.
But I mean, you said it in when we previewed this game. You said this game could be won or lost on special teams, and I think that that was definitely the case.
Yeah. It really was just an all out gutsy penalty kill, in a hard moment. Here's another player that is not going to be on the score sheet when you look back at this game 5 years from now, but who deserves some credit. And that is Matthew Wood, friends. I have to tell you, I loved what we saw from Matthew Wood. I think he's playing with a little bit more confidence, which is just natural. A little bit more, you're in the game, a little bit more, you're around the guys, you become more confident. Here's what I loved. He was demanding the puck. You would see him work to get open and smack the ice. And I'm like, do that. Do that. I think part of Nashville's problem, and we'll dig into this deeper in the offseason, there was a lot of deferring to other players. Do not do that, Matthew Wood. And I don't think he did. I was looking at some of the advanced stats. Wood and Forsberg had the most shots on goal, 4. Wood was so close to scoring. There was a couple chances where I was like, oh my gosh, how did that not go in? I looked at individual expected goals created. And that gives you an evaluation of like the expected goal value based on unblocked shots. So quality of shots. And it takes into account a lot of different things. Matthew Wood had the highest individual expected goals created of any player on Nashville's roster last night. He was ahead of Ryan O'Reilly. He was ahead of Philip Forsberg. And he was out there creating things. And again, I come back to not really looking like a rookie. Like you didn't look out there and say, oh, there's the new guy trying to keep up. I loved what we saw last night from Matthew Wood, Emma.
Yeah, he was very noticeable. I mean, he was I talked about Carl Vejmelka earlier, but absolutely robbed Matthew Wood
Oh,
of his first NHL goal, like
did.
highway robbery.
Yes.
And but that wasn't the only play. Like you said, he was demanding the puck, and that's good. You need to see that because we have seen this from this team all year. It's the word that no one likes to use, but you want these guys to start being more selfish and
Mm-hmm.
stop, especially, oh my God, Luke Evangelista. We're gonna love him through that as well. But
Bless.
he's another one who really needs to step it
Be
up
who
on.
you are. Play hockey
Yeah.
like you have your hair.
Yes, yes.
Hockey in that confidence.
Yes. And so anyway, that's another tangent,
That's
but
another
you
podcast.
definitely saw him looking comfortable. And at one point, I don't know if it was in the first or the second period, something happened that Nashville couldn't get a full change out. And so Wood got stuck out there for a
Mhm.
little bit and he wasn't with his usual line mates. And you're kind of thinking, like, oh no, he lost his safety net. What's going to happen? And he, again, like you said, you would not have looked at him and been like, oh, that's the new guy.
No. Really impressive from Matthew Wood. I do have one complaint about the game, Emma, and this is something that you and I have touched on, but this is a nerve for me as a former theater major. Do not ever again, you know where I'm going. Do not send Nick
I do.
Blankenberg to the box for embellishment. I will die on this hill. I will die. My last gasping breath will be this. Gary Bettman fixed this. Embellishment should be a stand alone penalty. If you trip Nick Blankenberg and he dabs on the way down, not a penalty. He was tripped. I can't stand this. Nick Blankenberg tripped and he like literally launched because he was like skating full Nick Blankenberg speed, tripped. And they called him for embellishment. And I'm like, do you wish him to defy gravity so that you feel like it's not so showy? I was livid. I'm livid. Like, NHL, this is the most ridiculous thing. It's the most ridiculous play. And I know they're afraid, like, oh, players are going to work so hard to draw penalties doing that. Don't be fooled by bad acting. Coach your refs better. Train your refs. Okay.
Yeah, I I have
Livid.
never been a fan of the embellishment penalty, just in general. I don't care for it. I thought especially Blankenberg, like, I don't know. Sorry, he tripped and fell. He went flying. That's what happens when you trip and fall. I don't know. Like
What do you
I've
want him
never
to
been a fan of that.
do? It's
Yeah,
so
like
bad. Make it
please,
a
if you're going to
standalone
fall,
penalty. Make it
if
a
you're going to
standalone
fall
penalty.
if you're going to fall to the ice, please do it gently and without, without any dramatic flair. Like
Yeah.
what?
Keep your
Yeah.
face just straight. Dude,
Yeah.
absolutely offensive to the sense of, you know what, make it a standalone penalty. If you don't want this game to, if you are like, oh, well, we want to preserve the integrity of the game, then make it a standalone penalty, because guys will be mocked mercilessly if they get called for 2 or 3 of those in a season, and that will end your problem. So offensive. But we'll take that up with Gary Bettman another time. Coming up, friends, it is Friday. We have just had a fun shootout win overtime or shootout win game recap. We're going to extend the fun. Coming up, Emma and we're going to play some takes from a hat. There is nothing like the energy of a live game, whether it is catching a last minute MLB showdown or catching one of the last Nashville Predators games of the season. But finding great seats at a great price, that used to be a challenge until Game Time. Game Time makes scoring last minute tickets easier than ever. Prices actually drop as the event gets closer, and with their all in pricing, you can see the total cost up front. No surprises at checkout. They have seat views before you buy. Again, no surprise fees. And they also have a lowest price guarantee, so you can book with total confidence. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's code locked on NHL for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. All right, Emma, we talked about, Dumbledore passed away. Sorry, everyone. The other thing that we have had to say a fond farewell to is the greatest piece of hockey swag ever, the 10-gallon foam cowboy hat that I dropped my breakfast protein drink in one night, drinking it for dinner. And so today we have takes from a hat from this Craig Smith. Do you remember him, Craig Smith? Oh, that's a throwback.
Throwback.
Craig Smith designed Predators hat. It's not the same, you all, but we're going to try to make it fun anyway. So, just some easy light questions to round out our week, Emma. Oh, okay. Here's a good one. What team besides Nashville that is out of the postseason is most surprising or disappointing to you?
Out of the postseason.
Mm-hmm. That's got the E for eliminated, but I like to say explicit because those are the words they're all saying.
I think I'm gonna go Vancouver.
Yeah.
Vancouver, or maybe Boston.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think no, Boston, I wouldn't say disappointing, but surprising. Um, I think no, but yeah, with Vancouver, you could kind of see it, what was going on with them. Obviously, they had the whole drama. Everyone was getting out their drama cauldrons in Vancouver with
My
the whole
goodness.
JT Miller, Elias Pettersson thing. They trade Miller fine, but then Pettersson really didn't improve after that. And so
No.
now it's created this kind of, just a lot of questions there. And I think that management in Vancouver should be feeling a lot of pressure, because they've got Quinn Hughes, who's one of the best defensemen of his generation. He's only under contract for 2 more years, and they have not surrounded him with a winning team. And
Mhm.
they should be feeling the pressure if they want to keep him beyond those 2 years, because he's too good to be with a team like that. And I just think that they really, for what we saw from them last year, obviously Nashville, we are very very familiar with them after the playoffs last year, but it just seems like they completely, they don't even look like the same team.
So strange. It's funny you took both of my answers. Vancouver for sure, especially because I felt like earlier in the year they were pretty hot. Like we were like, okay, this is a team that has it together. And part of that was everybody was talking about Kevin Lankinen because they were so concerned with Thatcher Demko being out and injured. And what are they going to do in net? How are they going to put it back together? We'd like to introduce you to our life coach, Kevin Lankinen, who can handle your business. But yeah, the amount this year for Vancouver has also had to feel like 84 years. And I'm so surprised, like they have talent. That is not a team that lacks talent. I'm just so surprised. I hate it for Rick Tocchet. You and I have shared this before. We really loved, from a media perspective, the experience of covering the playoff last season with Rick Tocchet. You hate to see it. Hate it for Kiefer Sherwood. We would fight to the end for life coach Kevin Lankinen, and so you hate to see it. Boston is just baffling to me. I have no emotional investment whatsoever with Boston, but did not see that coming. I did not see the implosion coming, nor did I necessarily, even when they were struggling, I did not see the sell-off that they did at the deadline. I didn't think it was going to be that dramatic. I mean, this was a dramatic implosion for Boston this season. I mean, we're ones to talk, but I'm just saying.
Glass houses and whatnot. But
Whatever.
Yes, with Boston, I think that sell-off has needed to happen for a while. And I thought they should do it, but I did not think they actually would. I didn't think they would do it. And I know that the fan base is really not happy with management, and I get that, with especially for the Brad Marchand situation. But yeah, and even after they fired their coach, you think normally they get like a little boost after with a new coach. It's just how it goes. They had a tiny boost for like a couple of games, but I think overall they've gotten worse since they changed coaches. And so it will be interesting to see what happens there.
I love that Montgomery's like, oh, can't talk now, getting ready for the playoffs with the St. Louis Blues. It's so
that has been a surprise in the other direction, is St. Louis.
incredible. And still, I don't think enough people are talking about St. Louis. St. Louis is going to show up in the first round and they are going to smack somebody in the face, and their opponents are never going to see it coming. I'm telling you, calling it right now.
I don't want to, if I'm on a playoff team in the West right now, that is the last team I want to face.
Yes. Agree. Fun to watch, not fun to play against 3 times in 10 days, I'll just tell you. Oh, here's just a fun one. Which Nashville Predator player would you take hockey lessons from? You could also tell me which ones you wouldn't take hockey lessons from. We could be dishy like that.
Hockey lesson. Well, first I would need some skating lessons, but
Girl, same.
let's assume I can skate. I think I would go Colton Sissons.
Why? That's an interesting one. Why Colton Sissons?
First of all, I think he and I love Sizzy. He and I have a very similar communication style and sense of humor that I feel like he would just get me, and I would get him, and I would respond well to him. But I think that he's just one of those guys that I know that if I'm taking hockey lessons at my age, I'm not trying to, go play in the PWHL, but I'm just trying to do all the little things really well and be a good teammate. And that's where I think that Colton Sissons would be really good at that.
Who would you not want to take lessons from?
Justin Barron.
I should
so mean. I just so mean. See, I thought you asked
would get
that.
a well-rounded experience of here's how you play offense.
Well,
oh, by the way, here's a little defense.
Yeah, that's what I should add. I should add the caveat there. If I were a defensewoman trying to take hockey lessons, I would not take them from Justin Barron because I don't think he knows that he's a defenseman. Except during that penalty kill
Yeah.
last night, which
It
again,
pops
all
up
the
here and
flowers.
there.
Let's
All the
let's do
flowers.
some more of that. Let's do some more of that.
Yeah. I am atrocious at skating. And I don't generally there's only a couple things that I am very bad at that I still enjoy doing, so I'm not sure this would be one of them. I would want Zachary Leroux because I think it would be funny. I think he would help me laugh at myself. So I would go Zach Leroux. He just seems fun. He seems good
Plus,
energy.
you could, chat about movies in between drills and
We
stuff.
could. I know. I am telling you, Zach LaRue, I so want to do a podcast review with LaRue because he is such a movie aficionado. Like this young man, he watch like he and such a genre, such a broad genre. Yes. So proud. I would not want to take them from Steven Stamkos. Two reasons. Number one, I think he would be hard on me. And you know what? I've raised teenagers and I don't need anybody else's shit. So
Yeah.
I don't need you to be critical with me. Number two, I have seen the way his 3-year-old skates. And if that's his expectations of a 3-year-old, we would not do well together on the ice because
Well,
little
that's
Chase
kind
would
of
skate circles around old Anne. Okay.
well, that's why talking about being critical, like that's why at first I was like Ryan O'Reilly, but then I was like no, because if he's that mean to himself, I'm like
We would be
no.
done by the end of the day. We would be like, I am the worst person in the world.
The level of perfection that he expects. Yeah, I would be like I am the
Mhm.
worst person who has ever lived.
Yes.
I'm a waste of space on this
Yes.
earth. Yeah,
No.
no,
Yeah.
no Ryan
Here's the
O'Reilly for me.
yeah. Love him as a person, but no thank you. I'm
No.
just gonna hang out with ZLH. Okay, here's a timely one. In a shootout, would you rather be the shooter or the goalie? And why?
Well, I mean, circumstance, I think depends, it depends a little bit on that. I'm going to go
Mhm.
with the shooter.
Okay. Why?
Uh, Partly because there's more than one of you. Like, I mean, now maybe if it's, if it's the shot that could end the game or
Yeah,
whatever,
that's the
like
one. That's the
that,
one we're talking about.
okay, then that is more pressure, but I don't know.
Mhm.
I think also just like goalie or goaltending in general kind of terrifies me. I would be so bad at it because like anytime any puck came like remotely near me, I'd be like,
Mhm.
in the fetal position, like, don't hurt me. So I don't know. I just think that there's more pressure. It just seems to me like there's more pressure on the goalie in the shootout than there is on the shooter.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
so yeah,
interesting. I'm
that's
the opposite. I would rather be the goalie. A, less I feel like more eyes in a shootout are on the shooter. I don't need a bunch of people watching me do something. I don't need that. Um, but also as a goaltender, I think you are responsible for covering a smaller space in net. Like you don't have to skate up to it. And you get to react. So I would rather be the goaltender. I do not know, and I someday I want to write a book on what the hell is wrong with goaltenders that this is what you've chosen to do with your life because I don't understand mentally. I don't have that thing that goaltenders have. There is some sort of a mental thing that goaltenders have where they're like, I want to be the last guy that stops the puck. I don't. Okay. But in this instance, I would rather be goalie. I don't like that question. We're going to skip that question. It's our show, our rules. Okay, here we go. Speaking of goaltenders, this is just a fun one to end on. If you were a goaltender in the NHL, designing your own helmet, what is one thing that you would be sure was painted on your individual helmet? I think I know the answer to this for you.
You probably do
I think I do.
because I have it tattooed on my body, so it would probably be on my goalie mask. But we, everyone, our everydayers, if you've watched the show, you're
Mhm.
familiar with Minka, our upper management here at the
Yep.
Locked On Predators podcast, and Minka is so special in many ways. Just
She's
special. It,
amazing.
like just yeah. But one of her most special qualities is her ears, and they
They're
have,
amazing.
she's got the one up, one down situation, and like, she's 5 years old. Like they aren't. It's not like she's grown into them. They're just like that. Um, and so I would, a la UC Saros, who has his dogs, Kessa and Nala, on the back of his goalie mask, I would absolutely make sure to include Minka, specifically her ears. I do have an outline of the ears
So
tattooed
cute.
on my ankle. So yeah, that's one thing. There are other things too, but that was
Mhm.
the first one that came to
Yeah.
mind.
Yeah, that's
What
what I
about you?
thought. I was like, it has to be something with Minka. You know what's so funny is I thought about what your answer would be. I didn't think about mine. I have, and I don't know how many people know this. I have a lot of tattoos. I don't have a lot of tattoos. I think I have 11 tattoos, and I have a tattoo I have a couple of them for my grandmother, who very, very precious to me. She passed away in 2011. One for each of my three kids. Then I got just some other ones, just for different moments in my life. I don't, they're very specific ones. So I would feel like I couldn't pick one of those because, like, then you've got to do like all three of your kids, which, I love all three of my kids and the tattoos are all very different. Here's what I would say, and this is just off the top of my head. I grew up in Chandler's Valley, this little teeny tiny, it's literally called a village. It's not called a town. It's a city. It's a village. Um, in Pennsylvania, and absolutely gorgeous. The Swedish settlers who came to that area settled there because it was so beautiful and it reminded them of Sweden. And it literally is this little teeny tiny village in a valley. You go up Brown Hill, you go up Rounds Hill, and then in the middle is this little village. And next door to the house where I grew up is the church where I was married. It's the oldest Swedish Lutheran church east of the Mississippi. King of Sweden came there, and it's just a landmark in our whole area in the Swedish community. I would probably have that, just kind of the, not the Nashville skyline, friends. It's not going to look like the Nashville skyline, but I would have like the Chandler's Valley outline probably on my helmet.
Never forget where you came from.
Never forget where you came from. Great. I'm telling you, I love where I came from. Just really,
Yeah.
really cool place. Very Swedish, y'all. It's a predominantly Swedish community. And next fall, hoping to go to Sweden to cover the Nashville Predators. My great grandfather was baptized in a church in Sweden, emigrated to the United States, of course, settled in the same area with this Swedish community there. And my sister and I, who is hopefully going with me to Sweden, we're going to go back to the church where my great grandfather was baptized when we go to Sweden in the fall. Can't wait. Just such a weird moment, because then he helped found the church where I grew up, where I was married, where the King of Sweden came. So full circle
And
moment.
and you sang for the King of Sweden,
I
did you
did
not?
I sang for the King of Sweden. We had a little children's choir, my two sisters, my cousins, a couple of the other neighbor kids. We learned the hymn Children of the Heavenly Father in Swedish, and we sang for King Carl the 16th Gustav, who came to visit our church. Yeah. Still know it to this day. I don't really bust out with it much around Philip Forsberg because, but
Should
yeah,
ask him if he knows it.
I should be like, let's have a hymn off.
Yeah.
Swedish hymn off. Go.
Children of the Heavenly Father, what up?
Bam. What? Let's
Yeah.
go. Let's
Yeah.
go. So, yeah, that's what I would have.
Well,
Yeah.
that's much more nice and meaningful than my dog and her special ears,
It's
but
really not. Minka is upper management for a reason,
yeah.
because she is that valuable. She really
She
is.
is the
She's so
manager.
valuable.
She's absolutely the manager of my life and my household, that's for sure, as she sleeps on the floor next to
Yeah.
me currently.
You could do worse. You
It's
could
true.
do way worse. She's,
It's true.
she's not led you astray so far, Emma. You're doing just fine.
Well,
And look, the Nashville Predators doing just fine. 2 wins this week. Their season is wrapping up over the weekend. Vegas Golden Knights. We'll just see what happens there. I mean, people, let's not get crazy. And on Monday's show, we're going to recap this weekend's game in Vegas, tell you about the week ahead. Nashville wrapping up their regular season, wrapping up this season next week as well. So we're going to talk through that on Monday's show. Emma, before we log off for the week, will you let everyone know where they can find you and your work?
You can find me on social media at Emma_Lingen, and you can find my work at the Hockey News.
You can find me on social media at AnnK_Mama on Ice. You can find my work with Penalty Box Radio. I just put an article out this morning about my skating coach, Zach LaRue. Really fun conversation with him. So check that out at penaltyboxradio.com as well. Friends, that is going to do it for this week's episodes of the Locked On Predators podcast. Thanks again so much for making us your first listen of the day. We hope you guys have a fabulous weekend, and we will be back on Monday to recap that Vegas Preds game.